Okay, it's the last day of Amphibian Week. So we're going to do a little card review, and then we'll be using our Venn diagrams from yesterday to write a paragraph where we compare and contrast frogs and toads. So let's get started. I'm going to hold up a picture, and you will tell me if it is a mammal, bird, insect, or amphibian. Right, we've gone over 4 groups. So let's say those words again. I'll say it, you repeat it. Mammal. Hopefully you said that. Bird. Insect. Amphibian. Okay, let's see if you know these. Which group does the dog go in? Mammal. What about the rooster? Bird. Amphibian. Mammal. Mammal. Bird. Mammal. Amphibian. Insect. Mammal. Bird. Mammal. Insect. Another insect. Amphibian. And hopefully you remember whales are mammals. So hopefully you got most of those and were able to beat me to it. Next week we'll be adding reptiles. And then the week after that we will be doing fish. Okay, so take out your Venn diagrams that we did yesterday. If you didn't do this, stop. Go back to the last video. It's called Amphibians Day 4. All right, you're going to need our Venn diagram for our writing activity today. Okay, so take out your journal. I'm going to open to a new page and put the date in the corner. Right, today is May 8th, 2020 or 2020. So you should have a new page. Write that date, 5-8-20. And then your title's gonna go up here in the middle. Our title is Frogs vs. Toads, just like our Venn diagram. So you can just copy that title onto the top of your journal. Frogs vs. Toads. And it is a title, so you want a capital F and a capital T. You should have something like this. Okay. Remember, as we write, you want each line to start where this red line is. This is used to guide your writing so that it's in a nice straight line. I know some of you kind of write in a slant going down. All right, so make sure you're paying close attention to the red line. The only exception is our first sentence, we indent. So you put 1 or 2 fingers and leave a space, but only for the first sentence. The rest will go against the red line. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I gotta change the date. Today is the 8th. Okay, and we have our title, Frogs vs. Toads. Now with every paragraph, we start by introducing our topic. So what are we writing about? We're writing about frogs and toads, right? How are they the same? How are they different? So I actually broke it up into 2 sentences. Let me bring them up here. I'll indent, and I'm also going to space it out so it's easier to read. So I started the paragraph as, how can you tell the difference between a frog and a toad? It can be difficult because they are similar in many ways. A lot of people have a hard time telling the difference between a frog and a toad. Many of them look very similar. Some it's obvious. So we're going to start that as our introduction. It's always fun to start with a question. That's a good way to draw your reader in and get them interested. Right? They want to know what the answer is, so they will keep reading. All right, so write those nice and neat in your journal. You might want to press pause so you have time. And then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, I'm moving on. So we are going to talk about how they are similar now. Because that's how we finished the introduction, right? We said they are similar in many ways. That's why it's hard to tell them apart sometimes. So we're going to write, first, frogs and toads both blank. Also, they are similar because blank. Now on our Venn diagram, we wrote 4 different ways they were similar. You only need to pick 2 things. So you could write, first, frogs and toads both hatch from eggs. Also, they are similar because they are amphibians. Right? Or first, frogs and toads both start their lives in the water. Also, they are similar because the adults have lungs. Right? It's up to you. Pick 2 things and find a way to put them in the blanks. You might have to change your wording a little for it to make sense. You're not always going to be able to copy things exactly, especially when you're turning it into sentences. You have to tweak it a little bit. So use your Venn diagram. Write 2 ways that frogs and toads are similar. Go ahead and pause. When you're ready, you can move on. Okay? I'm moving on in 3, 2, 1. All right. Now we're going to go to the differences. Remember, we're comparing and contrasting, so we have to write how they're the same and how they're different. We wrote how they're the same, so now we're writing how they're different. So you'll start with, however, they have many big differences. That's kind of our transition. We're letting the reader know we're done talking about similarities, and now we're going to talk about how they are different. When you're done with that, you're writing 3 things that make frogs different. So that would be under frogs on your Venn diagram. And then you'll write 3 things about how toads are different. So again, use your Venn diagrams to help you. Also, you may notice I have commas. When you make a list of things, you need to separate each item with a comma. So frogs, blank, comma, and blank, period. Okay. In contrast, toads, blank, comma, and blank, period. So don't forget those commas to separate your list of things. For example, frogs have slimy, smooth skin. They lay eggs in clusters and they have teeth. In contrast, toads have dry, warty skin. They lay eggs in chains and they have no teeth. Okay, so pick 3 things for each. You'll need to pause. This part's a lot of writing. After this, we just have our closing sentence. Okay. Make it bigger for you too. What happened? Okay, here we go. When you're done with this part, we'll go to the closing. I'm moving on in 3, 2, 1. Okay, you get that closing, bring it up. No, this is too big. Okay, so in these ways, we can tell the difference between a frog and a toad. You always want your closing sentence to kind of restate your first sentence. So we started, how can you tell the difference between a frog and a toad? Well, we close it by saying, in these ways, we can tell the difference between a frog and a toad. Remember, your paragraph is like a sandwich with the bread on top, the bread on the bottom. The 2 slices of bread are almost the same. And then you have all your information in the middle. Okay. Once you have that, you are done with your paragraph. Now, the last step will be to type it up into Class Dojo. And you don't have to do typing practice today since you are typing this. This will be your typing time for the day. And you will upload it under Amphibian report. Remember, on Class Dojo, just go to the portfolio button on the top, and then you'll look for Amphibian report. You can type it in there, okay? It is a lot to type. Do as much as you can by yourself. If you can do the whole thing, great. If you get frustrated, it's really hard, you can ask for help. But I want you to start it off by yourself. It's good practice. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Make sure you're extra nice to your moms because it is Mother's Day on Sunday. And you want to make them feel loved and special even though you can't take them out on this day. So help out, be kind, and I will see you Monday. Bye, everyone.